Good morning. This is the 8 a.m. live Hurricane Irma update. We're here in the Orlando Sentinel studios. I have Todd Stewart here and I have Annie Martin here, and we're going to get up to date as far as what the storm did last night and where it is right now. So Annie, why don't you go ahead and give us an update as far as the storm and its position right now?
Well, as of 8 a.m. today, Hurricane Irma is no longer a hurricane. She's a tropical storm.
Okay.
And she's moving through the Florida Panhandle still, or excuse me, the Florida Peninsula still, expected to go across the Panhandle this morning and then enter Georgia by this afternoon.
Okay, so, but as of last night, it seemed like that was the strongest conditions here in Central Florida, about 2 a.m. Is that kind of when we
Yeah, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and the gusts were around 70 miles per hour.
Okay.
Between about 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. at Orlando Executive Airport, which is near downtown Orlando.
Okay, so as of right now, it seems like conditions will start, getting a little bit better as the day goes on, and, we're at that point where you're starting to take a look outside to see how conditions are and whether your yards are, debris, but this is kind of that dangerous time right now where we need to kind of keep our heads up and just be smart about ourselves because, a lot can happen at this point right now. I want to go ahead and point out that on OrlandoSentinel.com, all storm-related information is available for free. So go ahead and use that, and we'll be updating through the day. We're actually out there now, starting up as finding out what's going on and getting information from the different counties and regions, and we'll have information about curfews too. And of course, Todd is here following our social media feeds. So if you have questions, go ahead and send it in, and also send in if you have photos of some of your conditions there. We'd be happy to see them and take a look at them here and post them. So go ahead and send those in as well. So I'm going to go ahead and shift over. Todd, anything coming through right now that we could ask?
Well, right now our Facebook feed is full of a lot of people giving updates from their neighborhood, which we appreciate because we aren't everywhere just yet. One is from Sept Hood. It said, "I'm in Longwood. Except for power outages, Central Florida was very lucky. It was windy outside, but we fared very well." I think that's generally the case, but we still haven't been out there enough to see a lot of the damage. We don't know a lot enough to say for sure that we were lucky, but it could have been worse, but we still don't have a full picture, I don't think.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those reports, Annie. It seemed like some things happening last night as far as with some flooding in some neighborhoods. Talk about those.
Yeah, in West Orange County, the National Guard and fire officials rescued residents in the Orla Vista neighborhood. The water flooded 24 homes near Livingston Street and Ronnie Circle. And that's sort of south of the Pine Hills neighborhood.
Okay.
And I think they were brought to Gotham Middle School, which is considered a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, so, we did get about 64 mile per hour winds, up to 79 mile per hour winds, and, clearly a lot of water and rain, so, there are effects out there for sure that we'll start seeing now. I'm going to go ahead and send off to Katelyn Dornbos. She's embedded with the Orlando Fire and Rescue Unit, so we'll find out how they fared last night and what they're expecting to do today. Hi, Katelyn, how are you? How were things last evening?
Things here were quiet after all the calls were put off, and I got about 5 hours of sleep here at the firehouse. It was actually too windy for me to go home.
Okay, and so they did suspend the rescues last night then?
Right, they suspended the rescues once winds reached over 50 miles per hour. This morning, they were put back in service about 5 a.m., and we've been getting to calls that were overnight put on standby throughout this morning.
Okay, anything right now as far as what they're responding to out there at this point?
Yeah, this morning we actually went out to a couple calls. There were some downed power lines, downed limbs, and flooding around Lucerne Circle and Delaney Avenue. We actually went to a fire alarm that had been going off all night long in a retirement home. So residents there were kind of, they'd been putting up with this fire alarm going off since 1, 2 a.m., but the fire department couldn't get there to turn it off, so the poor residents had that to deal with on top of all the winds and rain.
Okay, I assume they're getting ready for a pretty busy day today then.
Yeah, they're getting ready for a busy day. They'll actually be going out to survey more damage. Right now they're having breakfast, but they'll be going out more. Going out to see more damages, more flooding. As the morning comes in, people start going outside and seeing the damage. I'm sure there will be more calls and more rescue efforts made.
Okay. All right. It sounds like a lot of, water, wind, of course, and it sounds like a lot of the trees down, which we kind of expect. And, I know we'll check back in with you today as you're out there. I appreciate you being here, and stay safe as you guys start heading out that way. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, I also want to point out again, OrlandoSentinel.com, all information storm-related is free online as far as, you know, don't have to pay. There's no paywall, so go ahead and use that and use it as a resource. We're getting more information right now as we're starting to find out what's going on, and we'll put that out there. And also social media, for sure, please go ahead and send off your information to us, and we'll answer some questions. Todd, anything we can answer right now?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the questions being asked are the same ones we're asking of people ourselves. So it's like, you know, Amy Montgomery asking, when is power going to be back on Lake Nona? We'd love to know that. I don't know if we know exactly when power is coming back, where. And just to remind you, we're still in the midst of some of this storm. It's still a storm that's still in our area. So it's probably a little too early to tell. But as soon as we know things like that, OrlandoSentinel.com, our Facebook page, we'll have that prominently displayed. Okay,
Andy, let's touch on those power outages, because quite a few in Florida, quite a few in Central Florida. What are we looking at right now? Do we have any ideas?
Statewide, almost 60% of the people, or the customers, are in the dark right now, which is huge.
That's a large portion of the state,
That's a really large portion of the state. And locally, about 750,000 people in Central Florida are out of power. So if you're in the dark, you're in good company right now.
Okay, for the most part, a lot of people are out without power, and you know, I guess as crews get out there and can get to it, they'll start working towards turning it on. It is kind of this complicated system, like, you know, how, you know, one transformer goes down, and, you know, I'm sure they're out there, they'll get out there and start working through it. But as of right now, it seems like a lot of us are going to be in the dark, you know.
We're just now getting our reporting and photography teams out there, so we're getting to places as fast as we can. So as soon as we have more information, you'll see it.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and shift out to Kael OBrien. She's actually not too far from here at the Orlando Sentinel, across the street, just taking a look out at conditions out there. We're taking our first looks out there as well. Kayla, how's it look out just not too far from the building here?
No, we can see the building behind us right here, but if you can believe it, the sun is actually peeking out from behind the storm clouds for the first time since Irma hit Orlando, and it's actually shining some light on some of the damage that has hit us across the state. I want to show you right here this downed tree that we found this morning. As you can see, it's where a parking lot, we haven't used this parking lot in a while, but this is where we used to use our key cards to go in. Obviously, it's completely blocked off, so that's about the size of a car right here, car length, and it goes all the way back. You can see it completely uprooted right over there, so obviously some very powerful damage there, some powerful winds last night. It has calmed down a lot, as you can see, as last night we were whipping and rain was in our face. Now it's a little bit better. As I said, the sun was coming out. And I also want Chris, my photographer, to pan down there a little bit. You can see this is Concord, and that's Magnolia right there, and you can see there's some debris in the street blocking the roads, but we have seen some cars come down here into the road, and they've passed by. They did not look like they were emergency vehicles, so people, it seems, are back on the roads, a few, and we also saw a few people walking around downtown.
A lot of these trees, things like this down, are going to be a lot of what individuals are going to come across right now. It seems like this is going to be the norm, seeing trees in yards and all over the place as of right now, and the debris, of course. As far as the rest of the day, I know you're getting ready to head out to check out some other things. Any idea where you're heading or what you're thinking at this point?
Well, I've been looking through Facebook all morning, and I'm seeing a lot of people Facebook Living their damage from their backyard. I'm seeing a lot of people posting photos of trees in their pool and shutters being ripped off. So if you have pictures of that, I'm talking to the viewers right now, if you have photos or videos or you have a tip on some big damage, please let us know. Put your photos and your information in the comment section of this video, or you can tweet me at Kael OBmedia or on OrlandoSentinel.com. We'll get a hold of it. We want to see exactly where you live, how you fared last night, any damage that's left over. And it's important to know when you're going outside to assess this damage in your property this morning, which a lot of people are doing, please follow some safety rules. Do not go into any standing water. It could have bacteria. It could have down power lines, which could electrocute the water. And don't pick up anything that might be too heavy and cause some sort of emergency in your body, because emergency crews, as we know, are very, very busy today.
That is good advice, Kayla. I know this is that part where it starts getting a little bit even more dangerous for some people as they start getting outside after being inside. So that is all good advice, and for sure, you know, we will listen to that, and I ask others to do the same. So be safe out there today. We'll be talking to you shortly, I'm sure. Yep, okay, I'm going to go ahead and shift gears back here to Annie. Annie, as far as curfews, can we say anything about curfews as far as what we can expect today? I know Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs had a press conference today. What was said about there? Is anything said about the curfews?
Well, as of right now, authorities are asking people to stay home if they don't absolutely need to be out and about.
Okay.
You know, there could be down power lines, there could be flooding, there's all kinds of dangerous conditions out there. One thing Teresa Jacobs said during her press briefing this morning was that she believes that damage to this storm will be greater than it is, or than it was for Charlie. Obviously, that's a preliminary estimate, but that's her belief at this point.
Okay, well, let's give another real quick recap as far as what the storm did last evening. Last night about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. is about probably the strongest times when it hit in this area. It looked like it went almost a little bit, not as far west as it was kind of foreseen to go, and didn't affect Orlando nearly as much as it could have. It seemed like it kind of went in that Lakeland area, correct?
Right. The storm seemed to go north from like the Polk County area and didn't come as far east as we thought it might at one point in the evening. And the storm actually dissipated as the evening went on, and obviously became a tropical storm this morning. And we're also hearing reports from Tampa that they weren't affected as much as we thought they might be as well.
Okay.
You know, obviously these are all preliminary estimates of damage, and you know, we probably don't know the full extent of flooding and you know, other kinds of problems that this storm has caused, but good news for right now.
That is good news, considering, you know, they were concerned about storm surge, and, you know, bracing for this could be a really, you know, big hit on an area that's very populated. So that is good news to hear, and you know, it's good, I think, just to hear now a lot of people coming out, and it seems like, you know, from what we can understand, are doing well and faring well, even just from, you know, medical response calls. It seems like, you know, kind of getting back to somewhat normal, if not getting busier in a few. So I'll go ahead and shift over here to Todd. Any more questions we can talk about at this point?
Well, we've got some misinformation on our Facebook feed. Maybe we should call it fake news on our Facebook feed. Some comments that all Disney parks are closed for refurbishment. That's not the case. Okay. It's a safety reasons why Disney, I think they're planning on opening tomorrow. I don't know if that's still the case, but it was all safety. It was not refurbishment. And Anthony Camilleri, this is not hype. This is a real thing. There's real damage out there. Teresa Jacobs just emphasized just how bad this damage is still going to be. So we're still processing, but there's still a lot to learn.
Right. Let's go ahead and see if we can touch in with Paul Brickman. He was out in the tourist corridor, and we'll see how things handled out there. We can get in touch with him. Hey, Paul, how are you today? How were things out I guess you're in the iDrive area. You spent the night at the Cocoa Key Hotel Resort. How did things go last night? I'm having a little bit of trouble here. And Paul, I think we're having some technical issues right now. I'm having some trouble hearing you. Well, I'll go ahead and try to touch base with you at some point if we can get it going, but I'm going to go ahead and shift off for a moment. Let's go ahead and go back. Todd, any more social media questions we can touch on right now in the meantime?
A lot of people asking about airports. I don't think we know all the answers. I mean, it's like a broken record here. It's like we're still trying to find out what we know, and they're still trying to assess damage. And we're still in the midst of this storm. I can't emphasize that enough. But Monica Palacios, sending love from Argentina. We appreciate that. All the support from around the world and all the people from around the country watching us. But we're still very much in the midst of the storm. We're still reporting the storm, and we're asking the same questions you are.
Right. So as of right now, it seems like the storm is a tropical storm, tropical force storm right now, and it's 30 miles northeast of Cedar Key, 105 miles north of Tampa. It's making its way out of Florida pretty soon, so it seems like it's making its way through the state, and for the most part, we're through the worst of it. Why don't we go ahead and just give a quick update again, how things went last evening, just one more last retouch in, Annie?
Yeah, the worst of the storm hit this area around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. In the morning, and the center of the storm stayed a little bit west of Orlando. It didn't come as far east as we thought it might, and it sounds like there is some damage. We're hearing from reporters and people contacting the newsroom that there's some damage to homes and there's some flooding out in the field. But I think that some of the forecasts earlier in the evening made it seem like the storm would be much worse here, like that the center of the storm might come through downtown Orlando or even further east, and that didn't happen. So that was good. That's
good. So now we'll just see what happens. We're going to go ahead and see if we can touch back in with Paul Brickman and see if we can get in touch with him and see if we can get some. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
So how did things go last evening for you? I know you were out in the tourist corridor for the storm. How did things go out that way?
Yeah, it was really interesting in the hotel because there's a lot of open breezeways there. It's a really solid hotel, but it's got like a water park that's half covered and half open. And so you could really like watch it, watch the rain coming down, and very little risk because you were like indoors. But the power stayed on all night, which we were surprised at, and it was interesting. People were wandering around almost all night in the hallways and stuff.
Okay, how about as far as damage goes? I see you're in your car. Have you had a chance to see if anything out there as far as damage?
Yeah, so I'm at the corner of Universal Boulevard and Vineland Road right now, and I'm gonna try and show you guys a little bit of what that looks like. If I can turn this around. No, that's not it. Did I lose you?
Nope, you're here with me. That's fine.
All right.
Well, no worries. That's fine. Well, let's go ahead and touch in on.
Let me. Okay, I was just gonna get out of the car and show you guys where I'm at. You can see in the background. This is Vineland Road here. There's actually some flooding along here. People are like flying along here sometimes and like getting stuck in it. And then over across the street is the Universal sign. Several light standards are down out here, and there's a few places where trees are down. Emergency crews are really working fast on a lot of this stuff on the major roads out here. But yeah, I mean, as far as the parks go, Disney and Universal both said yesterday that they were going to be closed today. So I guess they're going to try to reopen tomorrow is what it is.
Okay, all right. So it's just kind of on a case-by-case basis right now to assess the damage. I assume much like all of us right now.
Yeah, I mean, I did not see any major damage in terms of like, you know, the Orlando Eye with damage or the volcano fell over or anything like that, you know, but obviously I wasn't in the park, so I don't know exactly what's going on there.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Paul. I'm sure we'll check in with you again later today. Appreciate you being with us. I want to go ahead and give a quick update. The storm at this point, 70 miles per hour. It's moving at 18 miles per hour. It's, you know, moving through the state. At the top of the state now, it's 105 miles north of Tampa, so out of the Central Florida region for sure. If you have questions on social media, please go ahead and send those in. Also, all information storm-related on OrlandoSentinel.com is available for free. So throughout the day, we will be updating it. We'll be putting up the newest information we have, so we'll keep you up to date there. Todd, do we have anything else we can touch on social media right now?
I mentioned there's an interesting thread going back and forth, people talking back and forth, trying to help a woman named Casey with some advice. She says, my boss wants me to come at 10 a.m. regardless of curfew. I don't feel like it's safe, nor do I want to lose my job. What do I do? I think you can break curfew if you're going to your place of employment, but if you don't feel safe, I think that trumps everything. And maybe Elvin De Jesus had the best response. You shouldn't have answered your phone. That's maybe the one time you should have ignored your boss's call. But I can't tell you what to do or what not to do, but I would say safety first. And
right. I think that's a good rule of thumb on this one for sure.
And maybe even reminding your employer that this curfew is in effect. And
yeah.
It's not quite safe yet. But I don't want you to lose your job, but in this case, Elvin De Jesus, shouldn't have answered your phone is the best answer I've seen yet.
That is good. Let's go ahead and shift out to Crystal Hayes. We're going to find out she's out in the field and give us a look at what she's seeing out where she's located at.
I don't have her quite yet.
Nope, not quite yet. We're going to go ahead and switch back over to Andy. Let's give an update. Power outages. Let's touch on that again. We're seeing quite a bit out there right now.
And there's a lot of questions. That's the most popular Facebook question right now.
As far as the state, most of the state is out, right?
Nearly 60% of the homes and businesses in Florida are in the dark right now.
Okay.
So it's going to take a while to bring everybody back, back in the loop.
Yeah, it is. Like you said, if you have no power right now, you're in good company because most of us are in that situation right now. So let's go ahead and give a recap as far as where the storm went last night. It kind of didn't go as far east as it was expected. Like where it was kind of threatening Orlando area. Lake County was expecting maybe get a little bit more of a brunt, but it seemed like it stayed a little bit further to the west, kind of went to that Polk County area, and they seem like that's where that eye wall moved through in the central Florida area. About 2 a.m. we received gusts of about 79 miles per hour, 64 mile per hour winds sustained. So good winds. We're seeing that out there right now as we're seeing trees down in those conditions. You can tell that there were some serious winds that came through the area. Let's go ahead and see if, Todd, anything else we can touch on right now?
A couple questions about gas and how easy that may or may not be to find. One from Sammy Joe Sierra. Do you know any gas stations to fuel power? Someone, actually, Mike McKee's answered this question probably the way we probably would. The Gas Buddy app website is a good resource. Tells you where there's outages, who has fuel, who doesn't. So I'd refer you to Gas Buddy if you're looking for some real immediate local information on that.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's going to be a hard find right now, especially as, even businesses are trying to figure out where they're at, and...
Yeah, they got to get people to work to staff those things, too.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Good information. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up now. All information on OrlandoSentinel.com is available for free storm-related, so go ahead and use that. We're updating that every minute right now. We're out there. We're starting to get photographers out there, reporters out there to kind of assess where we're at and get more information to you as we get it. We'll be back today at, next report, 11:15.
Yep.
11:15 we'll be back for our next live report, and we'll get some more information about what we're looking at right now. So stay with us then. Stay with us online, and we'll be back with you soon.